welcome. Thank you for coming tonight. I'm super excited. I have a special guest for you. Dr. Stella Park will be joining us tonight, and I couldn't be more excited. Tonight is growth periods and next steps. So we're going to explore what a growth period is, and then we're going to learn some tools on how to deal with growth periods. All right, so we're going to get started right away, and let's go ahead and get grounded. So go ahead and close your eyes. Put your feet flat on the ground, hips distance apart. And then go ahead and find the base of your spine and put a brand new grounding cord on. Go ahead and make sure that's anchored firmly into the center of the planet. And then turn it on release. Let that grounding cord start to pull all the energies of the day that you're ready to let go of out. Let's go ahead and bring the edge of our aura in close to the body. And you can tuck the bottom of your aura in underneath your feet into your grounding cord. And then bring your crown chakra up to the vibration of gold. Just imagine running a gold vibration in a clockwise motion on top of your head. And let's go ahead and release some of the energies of the day or the week. Let's go ahead and complete all the communications you had with people today. You can ground and let go of all of your telephone conversations, your emails and texts, your social media, and the old-fashioned way, one-on-one, person to person. So go ahead and complete all those cycles and let the energy of your communications release down your grounding cord. And go ahead and let go of any responsibilities that are nagging at you so that you can have the next hour and a half completely to yourself. Ground out any responsibility energy that you are aware of. And then let go of any projects or tasks that you might have been in the middle of. Go ahead and let the energy of those go down your grounding cord. All right, let's put our female grounding cord on. Go ahead and create a tube and put it right underneath your uterus and drop that tube into your main grounding cord. Then you're going to ground each of your ovaries into that uterine grounding. So you can just draw a simple line of energy from your left ovary into the front of the uterine grounding and a line of energy from your right ovary into the uterine grounding. Then on the back side of your female grounding, your sciatic nerves come up at the top. So you're going to create a line of energy from your left sciatic nerve into your uterine grounding, and a line of energy from your right sciatic nerve into your uterine grounding. Let's take a minute and release energy from the female space. You can start by saying hello to any male energy that's wound up there. Ground any other energies that you may find in your female space. And now let's go ahead and put our female or ground our female creative energy out in front of your abdomen. Going to create a great big giant tube, a tube grounding cord. Place it out in front of your abdomen and start to ground down your female creative energy. You want to ground it to about the size of a basketball. And as you're grounding your female creative energy, go ahead and use that grounding to release problems. Anybody else's problems that have been dumped into your creative energy, go ahead and release those. And do the same for demands. Anyone that's demanding your creative energy, you can send them down the grounding cord. And then last but never least, go ahead and ground expectations out of your female creative energy. Good. All right. Well, what is a growth period? A growth period is when your energy makes a really big shift, or I should say your spiritual energy makes a really big shift, and your body has to catch up to that new vibration. So during this period of where the energy is shifting and changing, you are actually growing and evolving, and that's where that term, a growth period, comes from. And a growth period is often the result of either blowing up a really big picture, or maybe you have a number of pictures lit up in your space that aren't getting cleared, and that can create a really big growth period. So what happens after you blow up a pain picture is that it shifts your energy to this new vibration. And the new vibration is now higher. So this means your body has to figure out a way to get up to that higher spiritual vibration. And your body actually changes so much more slowly than your spiritual body, your physical body does. So this is why there's actually a period of time that we call a growth period, because your spiritual energy is at one vibration and your body's at another, and it's trying to shift. So it may take your body a day, 2 days, maybe a week to shift your energy back into alignment. And during the time that you are adjusting to this new vibration, your energy can get ungrounded if you aren't aware that it's a growth period. So that's why it's important to understand a growth period. And I'm going to show you a couple of different things on how to recognize a growth period. And the first one is signs of a growth period. How to recognize when you're in a growth period. And actually, before I start this, those of you that know how to use your tool of creating and destroying roses, you can be doing that through this whole class, because talking about growth periods is going to elicit pictures coming up in your space. So this is a great opportunity for you to sit and create and destroy roses and put the energy that's coming up for you in those roses so that it can be released. All right. So how you might recognize a growth period is you might actually think you're sick because your body doesn't feel good because of all the changes it's going through. Well, my guest tonight, Dr. Stella Park, is going to talk to you all about that later tonight. And I'm very excited to bring her on. We will get to her in a few minutes. I wanted to tell you a couple more ways to recognize a growth period. Another one is if your body becomes exhausted. There's a very good chance that you haven't left very much of your energy in your body for yourself. And your growth period is really learning how to replenish your body. For that particular thing, you could use golden suns. So I always want to tie a tool to the growth period. So if you're exhausted, the tool that you would want to use would be golden suns. So let's just take a moment and use our tool of golden suns and bring in a few golden suns right now. Okay. Another way to recognize if you're in a growth period is if you're angry or combative. And that could be because your body has been invaded by a being or foreign energy. And when you're angry in a growth period, that's a really good time to sit down and run your energy and move that anger out. So I would say running energy would be a great way to resolve a growth period in which you're really angry. All right. Another way you can recognize if you're in a growth period is if you are isolating yourself and using or running a lot of hiding energy. So I know some of you are hiders out there. I say that because I'm a hider, and given my choice, I would probably never leave my house. So some of you might be like that because you're sensitive to energy. You might, when you have a growth period going on where you have an overabundance of pictures lit up in your space, your way to deal with that may be to hide and to isolate yourself. So again, a good grounding cord would help that, and some communication. And I emphasize communication. I'm always here if you need somebody to communicate with. That's really important, especially if you find yourself getting isolated. Okay. Another way to recognize if you're in a growth period is if you put yourself in survival by getting stuck in your first chakra. And that can happen because too many pictures are lit up in your first chakra and you haven't been able to clear them or run enough energy to clear them. And what happens when your first chakra gets stuck is your money space goes down the toilet. So I always like to say, if your money space is not doing well, the very first place you should go to check on that is your first chakra. Give yourself a good first chakra healing, and that should open up your money space quite nicely. All right. Now I'm going to tell you about some classic growth periods so you can recognize what a classic growth period is. A classic growth period would be, let's say you got fired. And getting fired is usually a shock. So you have an emotion to deal with. And It's also a period of where you're going to be completing one cycle and starting another cycle. So your growth period is really about completing a cycle and taking a next step. Although that might not feel like what your growth period is when you're in it. What the growth period might feel like is invalidation and unworthiness. And that's when the energy is all lit up in your space. And that's why we want to use the tools to ground all of that and bring you back to balance. Okay. Another classic growth period would be if you have to move, because that's going to be changing your energy on all levels. So wherever you move to is going to be a different energy vibration. That means you and your body will be matching a different energy vibration. So that's going to be a big change for you. And that will mean changing a lot of pictures. Another growth period would be if you started a new romantic relationship. All of those communication pictures get lit up, as well as the heart chakra pictures. So a new relationship, as exciting as it can be for somebody sensitive, it can be a little tricky to work around because your sensitivities are such that sometimes maybe the attention might feel uncomfortable because you are so sensitive. So during the beginning of a new relationship would be a really good time to ground yourself and run your energy so that you're clearing all of those pictures. If you sell a business, that can be a growth period because you're learning, again, how to complete a cycle and how to let go of something. So that can be a big growth period. And then breakups with partners are big growth periods. And that's a big heart chakra growth period that you can use your tools for to ground your heart chakra, ground yourself, ground your female energy. And then if you get a promotion, that can be a growth period. And you notice that a promotion is a positive thing, but a promotion can mean more attention on you, which is lighting up more pictures. And if you're sensitive, that can be a little tricky for you too to maneuver until you ground yourself and ground your growth period out so that you can enjoy the promotion that you worked so hard to get. Starting school is another growth period just because it's a lot of change and it's a lot of learning and new pictures. And the death of a loved one is a big growth period. Again, one that you can use your tools to ground the grief out of your heart chakra with a grounding cord. And by running your energy, it will help you move through that growth period a lot faster. And then winning the lottery is a growth period. Think about winning the lottery. Everything will change. Your life will change, your lifestyle, your financial levels. So that would be also a big growth period. And I just wanted to show you that a growth period could be both something that's positive as as well as growth periods that are tough. All right. So we're gonna practice grounding growth periods right now. And the way we're going to do that is really simple. We're going to just ground a rose for a growth period, for your growth period right now. And I'm going to be talking about different things that you may be in a growth period about. And as I'm talking about them, you can ground your rose and watch that energy come out of the rose, which is your growth period. And this will help ground your growth period. Okay, so go ahead and create a rose out on your screen for your body's growth period. Now, if the rose starts jumping around, then you've got a being in it. So put a grounding cord on the stem of the rose and ground it to the center of the planet. And the reason I said that is because some of you have beings in your growth period. So if that rose is moving around, you're going to put a grounding cord on it, ground it to the center of the planet, and then put a gold line of energy from the flower up to a gold sun for Supreme Being, and ask Supreme Being to move that being out of your space. Okay, so you've got your rose grounded for your growth period. And the first one I had was if you clear a big picture to ground yourself. So if you've cleared any big pictures recently, go ahead, say hello to that rose that you have out in front of you and ground the energy of any big pictures that you've cleared that might still be in your aura. And anytime you get overloaded with pictures, that's a growth period. And the tool to use would be blowing roses. So go ahead and ground your growth period rose and see if you have any of that overloaded energy in there. Some of you might be in a growth period because you're learning how to work with a new healing master. And that can be a big growth period. Go ahead and ground that out of your rose. Some of you might be in a growth period over giving someone else a healing. Say hello to that energy and ground it. And you might be in a growth period about having to give someone else spiritual communication about a healing that you've given them. This could be a growth period of having difficulty speaking your truth. And some of you may be in a growth period from seeing energy for the first time. In other words, your clairvoyance turning on. And if you feel like your clairvoyance has not turned on yet, I want you to say hello to any invalidation that you find in your growth period rose and ground that out. You could wind up in a growth period by hearing a communication from divinity or supreme being. And you might be in a growth period by hearing something clairaudiently. Now ground all the present time growth period energy that you can see in the rose. Round it out. And now go ahead and create a gold sun above the rose and fill that gold sun with your amusement. Amusement is a wonderful tool for growth periods. And fill that rose completely full of amusement. And then you can go ahead and blow it up. I just wanted to add a comment on how you might be perceived by other people when you're in a growth period. And oftentimes other people don't like your stinky energy when you're in a growth period. I'm sorry to say so. So what happens is that when you're in a growth period, your energy is moving and changing really rapidly. And a lot of people, many people, do not like change. So if they have to be around you and by your aura where all that energy is like sifting and moving and everything, it does what we call lights them up. It lights up their pain pictures. So they may go into resistance. Some of you who are in the Healing A to Z program may have noticed that people treat you differently. You've been in the program for a number of months now and your energy has changed. And that's important to remember because you might think people are throwing energy at you for no reason. But what it is they might just be resisting your growth period, which is not your problem. And it's not personal. It's just how people are that don't like to change. So that's my 2 cents on growth periods for now. All right. So we are at the point in the program where I get to bring my special guest on. And I would just like to let you know that Dr. Stella Park is a naturopathic doctor. She is also a psychic, a clairvoyant, a medium, and a healer. So you get a whole lot in one package. And I would like to introduce her. She was also one of my longest and dearest friends from the Berkeley Psychic Institute. We've known each other for decades, and there she is. Welcome, Stella.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
We're very happy to have you. So maybe if you could briefly tell everybody what a naturopathic doctor is.
Sure. Naturopathic doctors in California were licensed. We went to a 4-year medical school, and we studied very much the same thing that conventional medical doctors study. The main difference is that they spend a lot of time studying pharmaceutical drugs, and we spend a lot of time studying herbs and supplements and homeopathy. In my school, I went to the Canadian College of Naturopathic Medicine. We studied acupuncture all 4 years. So I learned a lot about Chinese medicine too. And so in California, we can prescribe hormones, but not pharmaceutical drugs.
You mean like compounded hormones?
Yeah, compounded hormones and thyroid, but not like antibiotics. We can't do antibiotics. Yeah. But there are naturopaths in California that operate under medical supervision from an MD, and then they can those prescriptions, but they have to go through the MD's license. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to turn things over to you. I just want to say that Stella comes from the same psychic background as I do, so her language will be similar in working with you tonight. So I'm going to back out and let me know when it's time to come back in.
Okay. Thank you, Karen. Well, it's a pleasure to be here. And I personally love talking about growth periods because really that's what it's all about, right? Because what is a growth period? It's a time of expansion. And I'm going to talk about growth periods from the perspective of health, because health issues can be a very big growth period. And a growth period can affect your health and vice versa, right? So if you look at a health challenge as a healing journey, it can really actually be a deep and enriching growth period, but there has to be the work, right? The doing your spiritual practice and taking the time to inquire within yourself, or through with a teacher or your healing guide, like what is really at the root of the health challenge. So I like to kind of start off with pretty much any experience can be or can support a growth period. And all experience, right, it can serve to open us up more to our own realization and spiritual development. And most of the time, a growth period comes about from us having to make a change, or like through an experience that somehow kind of takes us out of our habitual way of being. So I think what's also important is this assimilation of the learning. So that means not looking at it as something horrible that's happening to you, although that might be true, like Karen was saying, you get fired. Or if you have a health challenge, it can be challenging to look at it as a positive sometimes. And I'll be going through some stories that can be triggering and can light you up. So when these pictures come up, or you feel a bit, like a wave of energy, just be aware of your grounding, your first chakra grounding. So just taking a deep breath right now through your nose. And as you exhale through your mouth, just allow this energy to flow all the way down into the grounding cord, going all the way down to the center of the planet. And just be aware of yourself, feeling your feet on the floor and sensing your hands. And being aware of the reality of you. So we are bodies, right? We are spirit, but we are also bodies. And one of the things that I like to point out is that one of the main ways we experience life and being alive is through our bodies. And first, we experience through our bodies, but then also there's the mind's interpretation of the experience. So this is where pictures can get lit up, where our thoughts, beliefs, and feelings, and a lot of this can be based on our history, or like our preconceived notions about things, and it can cloud the truth of the experience. For example, you could, and this is something that happened to me. I remember I had applied for a job. This was in my 20s. And I didn't get it. And I felt horrible about it. And, but really the truth was I was relieved. I actually was relieved. And I didn't notice that at first. I was in the habitual way of thinking about myself that, oh, I didn't achieve something. And so what was interesting is about 2 weeks after that interview, they called me and said, oh, our first candidate fell through, and we'd like to make you the offer. And I really felt it in my soul to say no. I'm so sorry. And I don't regret it to this to this day. So my growth period in that situation was having to blow my pictures about who and what I thought I was. Oh, I'm a loser, or oh, I wasn't good enough, to contact what was true for me, which was that I actually didn't want that job. And then when they came back to me, to have the courage to be truthful to myself. And that helped, that I knew how to ground and that I was able to be present. So what happens to bodies, right? Life, everything happens to bodies, right? Because that's how we live. That's how we're alive. And growth periods can be just from aging, giving birth, adolescence, huge growth period. As a naturopathic doctor, I see people as being these intricate, complex beings, spirit, energy, but also we're made of this denser material, right? Blood, bones, and muscles. And then there's also this component, emotions, which in some ways is like a bridge between the two. So I'll just give you an example. This was many years ago, and I was a clairvoyant student. Well, actually, I had graduated from the clairvoyant program, and I was in a different clairvoyant type program. But I had a friend, and she was this amazing psychic and clairvoyant teacher. And this was in the San Francisco Bay Area. And I remember, like when we would hang out, she would order cake for dinner, or just she would tell me how she'd had ice cream for dinner for, a week or whatever. And I was like, are you sure that's good for you? And she was like, absolutely. You just change the energy on it. And she, like I said, she was an amazing psychic, and I had seen her do things that just kind of blew my mind. But anyhow, we lost touch, and I saw her. This was many years later, but I saw her on a bus, and she was blind, and she was walking with a cane, which is a hallmark sign of late stage diabetes. And I just, I thought about it for a long time. And this was before I went to naturopathic medical school. But I really started to think about how the way we treat our bodies and our health, it's like tending a garden. You can't just stay in the house and envision beautiful flowers. You actually have to take care of the garden. There's, we're spirit, but we're also made of the earth. And that means our bodies are made of oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen, carbon, calcium, and phosphorus. And it's the same stuff as stars, right? And the earth. So we are spirit, but we are also these physical beings. So that put me in a growth period, seeing her like that, and also having that realization that, you got to take care of your body. So I'll have an example of where a type of life experience caused a health issue and how that became a person's healing journey. So this person, a woman, she met someone, she fell in love, and they got married. And she was from a small town, he was from a different town. And in that small town, her husband starts a business. And I think it was about a year after they had been married, she finds out, like, her husband disappears, and she finds out that he had swindled all these people in the town and taken their money and her money. And this small town, it's like, as a big group, they just turned against her and blamed her. And she didn't have options. She couldn't move away because she was also broke now. And she felt completely just destroyed. And it was hard for her to digest what was happening to her. But with the help of her family, she started to get back on her feet. And then she found out that she had colon cancer. So what happens with this kind of a situation, she didn't really look at how the trauma in her life might have affected her health. And what I had her do was create a timeline. And so there are two timelines. So on one timeline, it's life events, traumas or transitions or challenges. And then on the bottom timeline, to put down, so it's kind of like health challenges. And on the bottom timeline, it's like trauma, So all of a sudden she could see how what was happening with the town and the rejection, and how she couldn't really assimilate, and all that energy got stuck in her colon. And that kind of opened it up for her so that she could start to actually heal. So she had many growth periods, if you think about what was happening to her. I think if you look at it in one way, it was a challenge, right? But like with her husband and all that, but she was not studying energy work at all. So, but I taught her how to ground. And by doing that, she was able to start to really shift the energy in her system. But there was also things that we had to do to heal the body too. So as a naturopath and medical intuitive, I feel like that is one of my specialties, is that I can help my clients unravel and understand the underlying energies in their health challenge. And when Karen and I were in school and studying many years ago, one of the things that we learned is that what physically manifests in the body is almost always starts out as an energy wound or an energy not being able to get expressed and understood. So having this understanding of how this, like the pain, the emotional pain that she had been in, was able to, once she kind of started to understand that, she actually, I encouraged her to go start seeing a therapist. And, we worked on diet and lifestyle. And last I heard, she was doing well. And then this was probably 20 years ago. So, oh no, I'm so sorry. This was probably 13 years ago. So, yeah, just notice how you feel right now and what's going on in your system as I talk about this type of story and growth period. It can feel heavy, and it can feel like your first chakra or your lower chakras can get a little lit up, but also your heart chakra. So if you just say hello to yourself right now and just notice where you're at, take a nice deep breath again through the nose and exhaling out, and just letting go of anything that's ready to be released. So sometimes I see people with issues, and like I said, they have absolutely no idea about energy work or how emotions can affect a person's health. And so in some situations, it can even be intergenerational trauma that is affecting a person's health. And so what's interesting for me is to see when something has happened in a person's family line, and then how it's manifesting in the individual in present time. So that energy is actually past time, but they're manifesting it in present time. And anxiety and insomnia very often has its roots in this intergenerational trauma. Example might be something like, I remember looking at one and saying, just communicating to my client that this anxiety that she has, and also some of the other issues that were happening because of the anxiety can cause all kinds of health things, but that it looked like somebody in her family line had been murdered, and maybe 2 generations ago. And she came back and said, I asked my mother about it, and there was a grandfather who had disappeared. And so it's a big secret in the family. And, but I saw it affecting her in the present time. And just getting that information and starting to unravel it, it was a big growth period for her. And she by talking about it with her mother, started to release that energy. And I also taught her how to ground. So for you right now, just check your grounding. Yeah. So health challenges can really be an amazing way of looking at how to expand your wisdom. So what I'm talking about here is how to bring compassion to yourself. Also, for example, let's say somebody has a lot of pain in their hip, and through meditation and using a rose to see what's in there, that person might find an emotion that has been hidden, that they might be incredibly angry and not even knowing about it, or that there might be a being, a snake, or some kind of energy in there that has been really kind of festering or at the root. So let's just take a moment now to see what's in your space. And if you go ahead and check your grounding and bringing your attention up behind your eyes into your sixth chakra. And out in front of you on your screen, take a look at a rose. And let this rose be grounded. Just see that rose is being grounded. And ask that rose, what is in your system right now that wants to be seen? Might just be a color, or a pain might start to light up. And whatever's there, see if you can look also what's behind it. Maybe it's an emotion, or it might be a health challenge, eczema or psoriasis or something else. And what's behind that? What wants to be known about this particular energy? And just go ahead and when you have and you know, you might just not get a direct or very clear answer right now, but it can come to you later. So you just have that openness that you have, that the understanding will come to you. And for now, just go ahead and blow up that rose. Just give it a good pop. And envision a big golden sun above your head. And these are tools that I teach all of my patients, actually, because this is how you change your energy. And changing your energy is how you start to heal. So, big gold sun. And you have the intention that this golden sun is full of sparkling, pure sunlight, divine light. And it's just for you, and it has your highest and best well-being in there. And you invite it in through your crown. And this is our true nature. We are light beings having a human experience. And just envision this light filling you up, your whole body, physical body, spirit body. And then let some of this light radiate all the way around you, 1 to 2 feet. all the way around so that in your mind's eye, you see yourself a light being radiating this golden light. Yeah, well done. So I could tell stories all night, but I'm glad to take some questions if anybody has any that they want to ask. I think I said this before, that health issues, they can really be a deep and enriching growth period. Because if you look at it as a healing journey, this is like your body as a mechanism for life experience, trying to communicate. And it communicates through the physicality, the pain, or the fatigue, or a specific health challenge like eczema or psoriasis or gut issues. But looking at it as a healing journey, I've just seen people just get so much wisdom and understanding about their own path. And also through that understanding that they can make some really lasting changes. So Karen, whenever you're ready, I think that's probably...
Thank you so much. I got such a nice healing from that.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
Good.
Oh,
Yeah, thank you. Well, your students, everybody who's on the call, if you go to my website, which is Stella Park, N as in Nancy, D as in David.com, you're welcome to make a 15-minute discovery call appointment for that. And it's a complimentary. Oh, look, I have a comment.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah, good. That's wonderful. Yeah, that you've had for a year straight. Yeah, and it is, yes, releasing trauma. That's a lot how the body communicates. So well done, good. Yes, yeah. And that it's so important to address grief and to in some ways, your body wants you to know that it's grieving. And so acknowledging that grief, and then in a way, it's like embracing it and then letting it go. And then you can release it. But as long as you're resisting it or pretending or overriding, it will persist. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Stella.
Yeah, you're so welcome, Karen. I just have to say, Karen and I have known each other since we were ingenues. Karen, yeah, so fun.
Youngster, yeah. We used to go dancing together.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's a long time ago.
Long time ago. Yeah, we'd go to clairvoyant class, and then we'd go out and have shots.
Yeah. That's right. Don't tell me that.
No, I don't recommend it. Okay, I have another question. Should generational health be treated differently than personal health? It's not that it's treated differently. It's just that intergenerational trauma can affect a person in the present time. And that, using the energy tools are really helpful with the intergenerational trauma, and getting communication, clairvoyant communication, can be helpful. because sometimes we can't see it for ourselves, but getting a reading can really be helpful. And then, getting a clearing, an energy clearing. You can also work with your own. I like to tell people that have that to create like a family chart, one of those things that looks like, grandma and grandpa and then all the way down. But sometimes you need to go further back and you might not know their names. But yeah, and if you look at that clairvoyantly in your meditation or whatever, you'll see a dark spot or something, and you can ground it out. You're learning all these fabulous tools. So yes, genograms, very interesting. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and lead you guys through a couple of simple exercises for next steps, because what happens when, are you leaving?
Should I go into my picture?
Yeah, if you want to go into your picture. When you're in a growth period, you want to know what your next step is. So it's pretty important to clear that space out. And I thought we could just use the simple tool of a rose to clean out our next steps, and then do another exercise to open up our doorways. Okay, so go ahead and close your eyes and get back into your meditation space. Go ahead and say hello to your grounding cord. Make sure it's still working, and be right in the center of your head behind your eyes. I'm going to have you create a rose, and create the rose with the postulate that it is your next step. And you don't have to know what your next step is. Just go ahead and create the rose and let the energy start to show you what you have in mind for yourself. So we're going to put a grounding cord on this rose, ground it to the center of the planet. You might just take an initial look at it, whether it looks clear and that you can see what your next step is, or is the rose full of heavy, dark energy or cloudy and you can't really see. This is what we're going to use the grounding cord for. So go ahead and start to say hello to the energies in your next step that don't look enjoyable. We want to clear this rose. Look in your rose to see if you can find any fear about taking your next step. And if you find any fear, go ahead and ground that out. And you might say hello to any confusion about your next step and clear the energy of confusion from your next step. Is anybody in competition with you for taking a next step? Go ahead and look for any competition energy or actual people in your next step rose. If some of the people don't come out, just keep saying hello to them from your neutral space, from the center of your head. Good. Clear out any dark energy and really start to look for the brightest color in that rose. What is the color of your next step? Well, when you find the color of your next step, what I want you to do is bring that color into your crown chakra and run some of that color in a clockwise motion on top of your head. We're going to fill that rose up with some gold suns. So create some big gold suns above the rose for your next step and fill it in. And then blow that rose up. Create a gold sun above your own head. And call your energy back into that gold sun. Fill yourself in with the gold sun. And next we're going to clear out the doorway to your next step. So in front of you on your screen, go ahead and imagine your doorway to your next step and take a look at how that doorway looks. Like, is it a big wooden door? Is it metal? What color is it? Is it open, partially open, or closed? Go ahead and put a great big grounding cord underneath the door, the frame, and the threshold, and ground it to the center of the planet. And what we're going to do is ground this door so that it opens, and you can start by creating a gold rose and taking that gold rose and using it to clean the frame of the door. You can go all the way around the door with the gold rose. You can take the gold rose and clean off the threshold. And as you're grounding the door, you can paint the door gold if you like. Just look down by your feet. You have a bucket of gold paint. Go ahead and paint that entire door gold. And after you've painted that door, go ahead and see if you can open it and open the doorway for your next step. If you want, you can put your next step rose on the other side of the doorway, and you can ground it there. And then just fill in every part of the door with gold. You can bring a gold sun in. Any place that didn't get filled in already, go ahead and fill it in with gold now. And, check one other thing. Check to see if anybody is standing in front of the door. If you have somebody standing in front of the door, give them a gold grounding cord and a gold line of energy from their crown to a gold sun, and ask Supreme Being to move them off of your doorway. Okay, bring a big gold sun into the doorway. Fill it in. And then you can put the whole doorway, the threshold, the frame into a big rose and blow them up. And we'll do one last thing for our next step, and that's we're going to clean our feet off. We're going to take a gold rose and clean off each of our feet. So imagine a big gold rose, and we'll start with the left foot. And we're just going to clear off energy that has accumulated on our feet, especially energies that might prevent us from moving forward. So go ahead and take that gold rose and start to clean off your left foot all the way. The top, the toes, underneath, the heel, ankles. Then blow that rose up and create another great big gold rose and clean off your right foot. That cut out. So yes, I did say put the big door in a rose and blow it up. And once you're finished giving your right foot a healing, go ahead and blow that rose up. And then create a giant sun above your head. And fill yourself in with some present time energy. And then you can come on out of trance. Any of those 3 exercises are great for getting going on a next step. And the most important thing I wanted to say about a next step is you don't really have to know what it is going to be in order to ground it and give it a healing. In fact, that's probably going to be the way that you'll find out what your next step is to clear everybody else's energy off of it so that you can see the true vibration of your next step. All right. I think that's it for tonight. I'm going to, let me just look at the calendar before we do our separations. And I want to bring Stella out one more time. Let's see. Well, we have Healing from A to Z next Tuesday, and it starts at 6:30. And then we have a Healing in the Sanctuary on money that's coming up on Tuesday, the 28th. So I'm looking forward to that. And then my 30-minute free meditation for Body Beautiful this month is called A Conversation with My Body. And it's going to be a half hour of us talking to our body, asking it questions, and dialoguing with it to learn more about it and about how we treat our bodies and how they are in present time. So I'm really looking forward to that. All right. Stella, would you like to come back here? I wanted to say something about Stella. She does great work with female hormones. So if you have any kind of a female hormone issue, she would be your go-to gal. And I bring that up because I work with so many women, and it's something that she's helped me with and helps a lot of women with. So I thought I'd just give you a plug for that, because that's very helpful.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And thank you again so much for coming.
Oh,
an hour talking about all the crazy, wild things that we went through at the Berkeley Psychic Institute.
Yes. Yeah.
It was like a psychic boot camp. It was the wildest thing, and there's nothing on the planet like it.
No. Well, when we were there, it was also because the founder was still alive, right?
Yeah.
And yeah.
We had agreements with him.
Yes. And it was like, what was it? It was like Hogwarts.
Yeah.
I remember one day Karen and I came out of a class, and I was just standing on the steps looking around, and Karen comes by and she's like, "What's going on?" And I go, "I don't know where I parked my car." Do you remember that? It was a Your Own Birth class.
Yeah, you were getting such big growth periods, you couldn't find your car after class.
Yeah. It was like your head was on backwards.
Yeah.
Where am I?
Yeah.
So Sarai, did I say
right?
Sarai. If you go to my website, there'll be links there that say book an appointment, and it takes you right to my website, right to my online scheduler. Yeah.
Okay, well, I was just going to lead everybody in a real brief separations. I want to thank you for coming tonight, and let's close our eyes and just make sure our energy is separate before we end class. Go ahead and say hello to the center of your head and your grounding cord. And if you find any of my energy or Stella's energy in your space, go ahead and put it in a rose and neutrally send it back to us. And if Stella and I find any of you in our space, we're going to do the same. We're going to neutrally send your energy back to you in a rose. Let's go ahead and ground your sleep tonight, your astral space. Ground your bed and your bedroom. And let's ground the week ahead. Imagine your big picture calendar with the big squares, and go ahead and color in the week ahead with the color vibration you would like to be in. Put a grounding cord on that calendar. Ground it. Fill it in with a gold sun. And then go ahead and blow it up. All right. Create a gold sun above your own head. Call back any of your energy that's still outside of you from the week. And bring that into a gold sun and fill yourselves in with that. And when you're ready, you can come on out of trance. And I think I already did the announcement. So that's it. Thank you very much for coming. And Stella, thank you again. I'll go ahead and close out.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.